Hi, everybody. Welcome to Listen Up with Mike. I'm Mike, and I'm going to be your guide through this journey of growth and learning. Hola a todos, bienvenidos a Listen Up with Mike. Yo soy Mike y seré su guía por este viaje de crecimiento y aprendizaje. Muy bien, empezamos la segunda temporada de nuestro podcast y para esta segunda temporada les traigo algo muy especial y es que estaremos haciendo conversaciones de temas diversos con un hablante nativo norteamericano. Se trata de una amiga mía, Syrena, quien está aprendiendo español. La conocí por el canal, por el otro canal que tengo que es Spanish with Mike. Hemos hecho amistad y le gusta practicar, está aprendiendo español y ha accedido a tener charlas conmigo para la segunda temporada del podcast. Así que en esta temporada vamos a estar hablando de diferentes temas. Y en el video de hoy, para el primer episodio, tendremos una conversación bastante amena acerca de aprender otro idioma. Así que recuerden, esto es un proceso para que practiquen sus habilidades de escucha. Aquí lo que van a ver es inglés real, inglés conversacional, para que lo revisen, lo practiquen, traten de tomar nota de cosas que vayan notando, tómense todo el tiempo que se necesite. Es una conversación de casi 40 minutos, son como 35 minutos que hablamos, pero es muy interesante, así que afinar oídos y a practicar mucho esas habilidades de listening comprehension y los dejo aquí con la primera charla, primer episodio de nuestra segunda temporada de Listen Up with Mike con Syrena. Okay, so I'm here with my friend Syrena. She's from New York. She's, of course, an English native speaker and also a student of Spanish. That's the way we met. She's been very focused on studying and learning the language, not just because we met, but before that, we're going to have the opportunity to talk about this. And this is going to be hopefully the first of several conversations that we're going to have as practice for your listening comprehension skills and also to get used to real conversation in English. Having said that, I would like also to just let you know that because I'm not a native speaker, perhaps, of course, I'm going to be making mistakes, but in a real conversation, mistakes don't really matter, right?
Nope, they don't.
Perfect kills good. So practice makes perfect, but perfect kills good. So the idea is just to relax, to chill, to have a conversation. And thank you, Syrena, for accepting this invitation. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you for having me.
it's a pleasure. Syrena, why Spanish?
Uh, Gee, I don't know, probably because I used to live in Georgia and there was a lot of Spanish speaking people there. So I said, well, I probably should learn so that I can communicate with people.
How long ago was that, if I may ask?
That was 2001.
Okay, that's 22 years ago.
Yeah,
So
I'm still trying.
yeah, well, it's funny because usually that happens whenever you're like, okay, I want to learn a new language. In fact, I've been struggling pretty much my whole life trying to learn Japanese, and I start by trying to learn, but then Japanese is tough, not because of the language, but because of finding partners to
To talk
practice
with.
with. Yeah,
Yes,
it's so tough
very
because
hard.
uh, the people that I've met, it's hard to get close to them. Well, anyhow,
Yeah, well, I
excuses.
took I took a long break in between. I
Oh,
had,
okay.
life gets in the way.
Oh, okay. So it was 22 years ago. So you say, okay, I would like to learn Spanish because of this, blah blah blah. And what steps do you take in order to do so?
Now or then?
No, back then,
Back then.
because yeah, what was you said? Okay, what was your plan in order to learn Spanish?
Oh, I went to college
Okay.
and just took Spanish as a major. I just jumped
Okay.
right in.
But now let me ask you something. I don't know if I'm mistaken, but if you're learning Spanish as a major, do they teach you real communication Spanish or the roots and the concepts and grammar and the whole thing in order to understand and perhaps teaching Spanish?
Yeah, we were starting. I only took the first 2.5 years. So it was all the beginning, structure, grammar, vocabulary, reading comprehension, um, learning some of the culture, but it was all geared towards Spain,
Oh, okay.
not Latin
Latin
America.
America. And of
So
course, in the United States, it's not a secret to anyone, but in the United States, there's a huge Latino community, right?
there is,
Everywhere,
yes,
Latinos
and it's
everywhere. So,
growing every day.
yeah, what do you have there, guys, that is so appealing to us? So anyhow, no, that's
I
a
don't know.
rhetorical
I
question.
want to get out.
Yeah, I know. I know. So okay, 2 years, right, in college.
Yep.
Could you say that perhaps those 2 years helped you in order to get solid foundations of the language itself, or it didn't help a lot?
At the time, yeah, it
Yeah.
helped. Yeah.
How did it work for you?
Um,
Communication wise? Because
well,
I
I
guess
was,
back then, I don't know,
yeah,
perhaps I'm mistaken, but back then, did you have any people to practice with?
yeah, well, yeah, my classmates.
But
But
they're not in
I got
Spanish
to go to
native speakers.
Spain.
Oh, they were. Oh, you went to Spain.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I
All
was
right.
there for a whole
Okay,
week.
so you traveled to Spain and you
Uh-huh.
spent 2 years there.
No, 1 week.
Oh, 1 week. Oh, okay, no,
Yeah.
I'm
I
I'm
wish
kind of
2 years.
mixed here. Sorry.
It's all right. So I went, it was a school trip, and I went, and I had to travel back alone.
Oh,
So
okay.
I had to get from the north of Spain to Madrid, get a hotel, get a taxi. I went shopping, and then get to the airport the next morning all by myself.
Oh man.
Woo!
But how was that experience?
I got through it. It was
So you
very
managed
interesting.
to go through the whole thing without any issues by
Yep,
speaking the basic Spanish that you had learned so far.
yep, yep. But I had trouble with the money because we didn't cover money.
Oh, okay.
So I wasn't sure if I was getting ripped off or not, but
Oh, most likely. Yeah,
probably. That's all
most
right.
likely.
It was
But
an experience.
yeah, anyhow. And how was that week for you living there? It's a week. It's not too long. It's only 7 days. But how deep was that diving experience, if I may, in the Spanish language?
It was amazing. I want to go do it again.
Oh, really? To
But
Spain?
well, I'd like to go to Spain,
Oh,
but
okay.
I want to travel to Latin America
You know that you
first.
have where to crash here in Colombia. You're always welcome
Okay.
here, so you don't have to
Thanks.
worry about accommodations nor things like that. You know that in the coffee zone you have a place where to crash.
Yep. Here, I got to go pack.
Yeah. So, so anyhow, so in what part of Spain were you
Uh,
1 week for 1 week?
well, we flew into Madrid, and then
Madrid. Okay.
we
Madrid.
traveled by bus north, zigzagging up to Santander, which is
Okay.
a small town on the coast, north
Okay.
coast.
All
And
right.
then it
And
was
what was what you
great.
liked the most about the culture and your experience there? Even when it was only for 7 days or
Uh,
so.
it was clean,
Okay.
very clean. Um,
Okay.
they make use of the structures that are already built. So like everything was like from the 11th, 12th, 13th century.
Yep.
Where here, if it's 20 years old, oh, knock it down.
And even older.
Yeah,
Even older.
yeah. And it's still used and it still looks great.
Okay.
They care for things.
Did you make any friends over there in Spain?
No, I didn't have time.
Oh, okay.
No.
So after that, you're coming back from Spain, and what happened then regarding your wish to learn and practice Spanish?
Well, life got in the way, so
It always gets in the way.
so I had to take a hiatus,
Okay.
and then I picked
Interesting
it back
word.
up
I
about a
like
year
that word,
ago.
hiatus.
Hiatus,
Yeah, HIATUS, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Could you explain the meaning and perhaps a different word for that? Hiatus.
Hiatus,
Yep.
vacation, a
Hmm.
break, time out.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, you could you use that at any context? Let's say I'm gonna take a 2 week hiatus
Yep,
because okay, that's cool. So
yep,
please take
that would
note,
work.
you guys, uh, the other side of the screen, take note of that because that's an interesting word. It's funny because I knew that word, but it's a word that I rarely hear.
Yeah, it's not used a lot.
But it's cool. It's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, it's nice. And this is a learning experience, so I'm learning every day actually. Anyhow, but this word I knew, but I found that it interesting because, as I told you, it's a word that I rarely hear during conversations or maybe, but interesting nonetheless. So,
Yep.
you're back. You had to take your hiatus.
A long one. But yeah, I'm back now again.
Okay, so meaning you're back 20 years after that or not, because
Yeah.
we met what, like 2 3 months ago,
Um,
2 months ago.
at least.
Yeah, 2 months
Yeah.
ago. So what brought
Seems
you back to
longer.
Spanish? It's cool
We
to have you here, but what
Yeah.
brought you back to Spanish after all these years?
Well, I finally got my life straightened around where I want it. Everything is good, and we still have a growing population of Spanish speaking
Oh yeah,
people.
tell me about that.
So,
Yeah, that's
and
that's
and
gonna
I
be
want to
that's
travel.
gonna be for a while.
Yeah, and I want to travel.
Yeah,
So
so
I
so
want
let
I
me
want to
ask you
go to.
something, and I'm sorry to interrupt you
You're
here.
fine.
A 20 something year hiatus, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. That's amazing. During those years, I guess so, but tell us, did you ever had to get involved in a conversation with Spanish native speakers and perhaps trying to uh, speak something and get away with it?
No, because I moved away from Georgia and I came home to Western New York, and it's very rural here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So there's not a big population, but they're coming. So
that sounds that sounds funny. They're coming. We're
they're
going.
coming.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Oh, I got
yeah, a
kitties. Hang
couple
on.
a couple
Ouch.
years, perhaps I'm gonna be there knocking at your door. So
You're
let's
always
see.
welcome.
Okay, so 20 something years, and now what did you like make plans? Have you had do you have a like a study plan for now that you started again with the Spanish?
Yep. Well, I watched Spanish with Mike.
Oh, thank you,
It's an excellent YouTube channel.
thank you.
And then I've got some books that I read through, and I I do Duolingo, but it's usually like a quick 5 minutes before bed,
Okay.
and I don't really spend a lot of time
Duolingo,
on it.
Duolingo. I think Duolingo is an interesting tool. Like,
It's okay.
yeah, it's okay. And if anyone asks if they can learn only with Duolingo, I would say
No,
no. It's
no.
like a complementary application, a tool that will
Yeah.
help you in order
I've
to
got 900 days on Duolingo,
go figure.
and you see how much I struggle.
Oh yeah, but it helps nonetheless with
Yeah.
vocabulary, maybe getting
Yeah.
getting some sentences.
Oh,
It's an interesting tool. Out there, we do have a lot of interesting and useful tools that we can use, including ChatGPT and a
yep.
lot of channels on YouTube, a lot of resources, most of them for free, good resources.
Yep.
But when it comes to Spanish now and your practice, how often are you studying now? You don't have to tell lies.
I'm
Yeah,
not lying. So
yeah.
I try to talk as much as I can, well, text
Well,
as
at
much as I
least
can.
we're pretty much sharing every day.
Yeah, we text.
Yeah, we
Texting
text
has
a
helped
lot, and
because I try not to use the translator when I'm doing that,
yep,
unless I come up against a word that I
yep,
just don't know.
yep. And how, from your perspective, that experience, how has it been?
It's been great. I think I don't know, I've come a long ways just in the last 2 months.
Yeah. Do you remember that we had a conversation recently, and I told you I expect in a year maybe. In fact, we had
Mhm.
scheduled something there in the
It's on
calendar.
my
Yeah.
calendar.
Yep. Maybe a year, and I would like to see you then, because I'm pretty much sure in a year you're gonna be able to
Have a
have a
conversation.
decent conversation without struggling. Because right now
Yeah.
sometimes you struggle a little bit, blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Spanish with Mike, the things that we're doing. What else do you do as part of your practice learning Spanish?
I like to watch TV and movies that are in Spanish,
Okay.
so that I set Alexa. I
Oh,
don't want to say it too loud. She'll
yeah,
start talking.
yeah.
Yeah, I set her to listen to me sometimes,
Okay.
and I'll
And
speak Spanish
how
to
does
it.
it work?
Yeah, she could tell me the weather.
Oh,
She could tell
cool.
me the time.
So you're
And
like practicing basic commands.
yeah,
That's cool.
yep.
That's cool. And when you watch your movies on the platforms, let's say Netflix, Disney, whatever, do you set the language? Let's say you're watching a movie or a series which is originally in English. You watch that in Spanish, dubbed in Spanish, or you look just for real, for original series and movies in Spanish, and then you listen to the real Spanish from the movie itself.
Yeah, so I downloaded Canela TV.
Uh huh.
I don't know if you heard of
I
that.
haven't heard about that.
No. So Canela TV, Canela
Yep.
TV.
Canela.
And
Cinnamon.
yeah, and so that's I can watch películas, deportes,
Okay.
canales,
Uh huh.
kids. Um
Okay. Cool.
like I watched The Ninth Gate.
No, that's a very good movie.
Yep. That's saved on my favorites.
Yeah.
I've watched it twice now.
Is Frank Langella there, if I'm not
Yeah, huh?
mistaken? Yeah,
Frank
great
Langella. Yep.
movie. Great
Johnny Depp.
movie. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So
And so you're listening, and when, let's say, when you do that, do you have like a practice of, okay, I'm gonna do this for 20 minutes. I'm going to focus on something, or you just let the movie go and see what you can get from it?
some both. Sometimes I just let it play and listen so I can just hear it and just be listening to the sounds. And then sometimes I actually like pay attention what's going on in the scene, what I remember from the English version and what they're saying
Okay, that's an
to try
interesting,
to
yeah, that's an
make the
interesting,
connections.
that's an interesting exercise. So far, what's the most difficult thing that you found from Spanish?
They talk so fast.
Really, you guys talk fast too, especially you guys New Yorkers,
Oh,
upstate,
yeah.
upstate New
Yeah.
Yorkers.
Not upstate, but down
Wow.
in the city.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, that's, yeah, and
Yeah.
people, the would you say the farther you go up north, they
No.
speak faster? No,
No, no.
not really.
No, not really.
Okay, because I had this
In these
idea.
rural areas, we're kinda laid back.
Okay, so you all
So
like talk like, no, not
well,
really.
not that slow,
That's
but
that. Okay, that's very south.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so the speed, and do you remember the other day we were talking about that? Perhaps it's not really how fast we speak in Spanish, but how easy we connect stuff when we're talking.
Yes.
Because sometimes I say something in Spanish which seems to be fast, but not quite. And when
No.
you check, it's just because of the
You
connections.
slurred it all together.
Yeah. So how do you work with that in order to overcome that obstacle, if we could say that, and try and understand? Do you repeat that a lot when you're listening
I
your movies or
if they
podcasts
do
or
that.
whatever? What?
Yeah, if they do that, I
Oh, okay.
will.
You just go
But
back and go back and go back.
yeah,
How about mirroring? Do you do that?
not yet
Why?
because they talk so fast.
Wow. Well, you should
I'm like
try.
blah blah blah.
It's it's funny because my friend Robert,
Uh-huh.
you know, I've talked about Robert before. I met him a few years ago,
Uh-huh.
and for him, Spanish is yeah, 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 because he barely understands, and he complains a lot when I say things in Spanish. But anyhow, good thing you're learning.
Yes.
Second, most difficult thing. First one, the slur and the speed in which we speak. And the second one,
Um,
if you were to rate like first, second, and third, the three
well,
most difficult things when it comes
it
to learning Spanish.
it's the same with English speakers. Like if you have somebody who just is kind of like lazy when they speak.
Okay.
And we have it in English as well, because there's like Boomhauer.
Oh,
What in the world is he ever saying?
yeah, it's like
Um,
yeah.
there's
For
people
for
down
those
south that
who
talk like
perhaps
that.
don't get this, she's talking about the series that in Spanish is called Los Reyes de la Colina, Kings of the Hill,
Yep.
right? And there's this guy, which in Spanish is called Benavides. His real last name is Boomhauer.
Uh-huh.
Oh man,
You
it's
can't
so
understand him.
freaking hard to understand this guy. So freaking hard.
And I speak English. I
And
can't
yeah,
understand him.
and don't go. Well, we can go there, but in Spanish it happens exactly the same. Same thing happens exactly in Spanish because let's say sometimes my wife and I are having lunch and when we do that in our bedroom watching TV sometimes, and usually we put the news, and from time to time they get people from certain regions in Colombia, especially the coast, the north coast, the shore, la
Mhm.
costa. God,
La
those
playa.
guys, it's like, what the heck did that guy say? And I think the other day I sent you a video from it was a sketch, a comedy sketch from a
Superior
TV show
nomás.
from Venezuela, and there was this lady like, "Woo!" I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
what the hell is she saying? Was so wow, that was
Uh-huh.
so freaking hard.
Yep.
So Syrena.
Well, that other clip you sent me, Sufrir nomás.
Sufrir. No,
I
but
was
that's
like, what is he saying? I can't understand him.
yeah, but that's not quite hard because he's speaking slowly,
Yeah, but
like
he's
sufrir,
slurring it all together.
sufrir
Like,
nomás.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of things, especially when it comes to the cultura paisa, that happens a lot. The way we talk, you have to get used to it. Now let's go a step further and talk about speaking.
Okay.
How comfortable do you feel in order to practice your speaking skills?
I'm very shy. I can text. I'll text you all day
I,
long.
I
But
know,
you
I know.
asked
We
but you
we
asked me to
we
talk, and
spent yeah, we
the
spent pretty
cat's
much
got
the
my
whole
tongue.
day texting back and forth. That's cool. But
But the
then
cat's
again,
got my tongue. It's like,
yeah, you need to start practicing. No, my question is because I've noticed I don't know if that's something.
it's like I'm scared. I don't know.
Well, but anyhow, I don't know if that's something that I've noticed, but for Latin American people, when they're I don't say we because I didn't suffer from that. When they're learning a second language, in this case English, it's so freaking hard to take that step in order to start practicing the speaking skills
It is.
because I don't know why people feel shy and they don't want to make mistakes and they feel embarrassed if they make mistakes.
Mhm. Yep.
I always tell my students that's not the case because hey, is that Wanda?
Walter.
Oh, Walter.
I call him Gatito.
El gatito.
So I holler out the door, Gatito,
El
bedtime.
gatito. Oh,
And he
that's a
comes
good
running.
practice. And then you're going to link that word. And
Yep.
from now on, you say gatito, you don't have to translate that word.
Nope.
El gatito.
And he comes running. He likes it.
He's bilingual too. That's great. So he's gonna,
he's learning.
yeah, he learned Spanish. So I was telling you that people usually feel shy, and I tell my students that shouldn't be the case because if you're learning, that means that there's no reason why you should be perfect when it's saying so. You need to make mistakes, and it's
Right.
interesting because every time I see a foreigner here struggling trying to communicate, but they don't feel embarrassed. They just go ahead and try to communicate. People from Europe, people from the United States, people that is not they don't speak Spanish at all, but they try. Is that? Do you think that's a cultural thing? Perhaps. Do you think it's easier
Maybe.
for you to overcome that shyness
I
stage?
think if I came to Colombia and I had no choice,
Okay.
That's that's like do or die.
Okay. Now let's move this from this side to the other side. And this is because hopefully we've been chatting for 23 minutes. Hopefully people is still watching this.
I hope so.
I'm yeah, hopefully. You never know, or maybe they're skipping parts. I don't know. This video, as it's an interesting listening comprehension practice because we have our guests.
Should
And
I juggle or something?
not really, not really. Hate me.
Entertain you?
No, not really. But oh, I missed my point now. You made me lost.
No, okay, so people are shy.
Yeah, but that
People are
wasn't.
scared.
Oh, no. I remember now.
Okay.
We're going to turn tables here, and let's start talking from the perspective of them. So they are trying to learn English. Now, let's say you bump into or bump onto. Now I can't
Yep,
remember.
bump into.
Somebody. Let's say at the supermarket, somebody who you immediately see that is a foreigner,
Struggling.
Spanish speaking people, and he's trying to communicate. What would be your I don't know. Well, I'm sure you're not talking from all American people, but from your perspective, if that person is trying to communicate, what's your position when something like that happens? Do you care? You don't care? It's like, oh, this guy is not talking well, so I don't know.
It doesn't bother me if they're not talking completely like the perfect English.
Okay,
because we don't even speak that way.
Yeah, and I would say most native speakers never talk in a correct way, the
No.
correct language at all.
No.
So
And I dig an accent.
really,
I love accents.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Well, that's something that's a nice subject because that's part of this. A lot of people think that they need to lose their accent, and
No.
I say accent doesn't matter, pronunciation matters. And sometimes even you can get away with it with pronunciation because of the context and something like that. But accent doesn't matter
Nope.
because
Doesn't matter.
yeah, because it gives you that identity, cultural identity.
Right.
So what would be your advice to those out there who are struggling in order to make that decision of starting speaking, feeling less shy when it comes to speaking? What would be your advice from your perspective of a person who's learning a second language too, which is in the same, which has been in the same position before?
If it was with me, I mean, if they were talking with me, I'm very patient, and I would help them struggle through it, and get whatever communication they needed to get through. I would help them. Um, a lot of Americans, yeah, I know, it's United States people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't want to go there now.
No.
Not at all.
I know there's a lot of them are like, oh, if they're here, they need to learn English. Why? We're supposed to be this big melting pot, you know? So Spanglish, I don't care.
Yeah, but
Whatever.
well, I understand that, but if
But
we're there, well, let's learn the language, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you
it's
can.
not bad. It's not.
No.
Well, it's not gonna hurt you.
No, it's not gonna hurt.
Unless,
It'll help.
yeah,
It'll help
unless you're,
because,
of course, unless you're not willing to do that cultural exchange.
well, the United States isn't like a lot of countries. Like a lot of countries, you hear people are, they start learning a second language like from very young. Our second language doesn't start till high school.
Okay.
And when I went to high school, there wasn't a teacher, so I didn't get any.
But now you have an advantage. You speak English, and You go everywhere, and at least there should be people out there at the hotel.
Somewhere that speaks
Yeah,
English.
pretty
Yeah,
much,
maybe,
pretty
maybe.
much. English is and Spanish is getting. I would say Chinese, English, and Spanish are so
Yeah,
globalized, global,
globalized. Yeah,
yeah, and
globally.
yeah. So with English, you can get away with it pretty much everywhere you go.
Pretty much.
Yeah, which is not the same with
It's
Spanish.
kind no,
Yeah,
but that I think that Spanish is the second. Like English
it,
is
it,
here, but
I
Spanish is
know
like right
Spanish,
here.
Chinese, and English. They're English first, right? Of course,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure which one is
Well,
second, like Spanish.
Chinese is
Chinese.
probably second, but I think it's more localized to just their area because I mean, how many billions of China people are there? They've got a huge population.
Yeah.
So, but Spanish, if you look at country-wise, there's more countries in the world
Yep.
that are, Spanish speaking.
Just think of Latin America.
Yeah, just on this side of this, the globe.
We do have a lot. Okay, so we have different things from your perspective as a second language learner, from your perspective of a native English speaker, and if you were to give advice to those out there who are trying to learn English, what would it be?
Find somebody to practice with. You know, watch English Facile with Mike.
Inglés fácil. Oh, thank you. They're watching it right now,
I know.
luckily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're good in both languages, so you're the perfect person
Yeah,
to
but
learn
you
from.
know, in my case, it's first because I loved it. The first
Mhm.
time that I got in touch with English was back when I was like 12 years old. Because of the movies and stuff like that, I
Yeah.
started checking this. And back then, my dad, I remember he bought like a course. It
Mhm.
came with magazines and cassettes. It was
Yeah.
British.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
I think it was from BBC or something. I can't
that's
remember now.
that was probably difficult.
I know it's funny. The first sentence that I learned was, "Oh, I've forgotten my keys." That was the first, and I
Oh,
was like, "Oh, cool. That sounds cool. I've forgotten my keys." That was the first sentence I ever learned. But then again, that's something that I really liked. That I focused a lot, put a lot of energy, and it's been 40 years. It's been 40 years, pretty much. And I love the culture. I had the chance to be there for a while. I've been able to make friends, being
mhm.
you one of them,
Yep.
and I love interacting and so and so. But not everybody is in the same situation. Some people perhaps haven't had the opportunity to travel, or or for them, I'm sorry, or for them it's tough to find ways to make friends.
Mhm.
So I know right now, as opposed to 40 years ago, we have a lot of resources, a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
free resources available out there for us for learning.
Yeah.
But then again, it doesn't help at all unless first you're willing to learn and then you're willing to practice.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I can have fun studying 1 or 2 hours every week or whatever, but then if I don't use it, I lose it, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
Because
so
everything I'd learned 20 years ago is
yeah, but you've been learning a lot
covered in
in the couple
rust.
in the couple months, the couple past months. You've been learning
Huh?
a lot,
Yeah.
and it has to do a lot with the practice you've been exposed to, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's funny. I've been able to improve my speaking skills too, because I with the Spanish channel, I've been forced to speak more English than I used to do before. And I
Right?
right now, if I compare to, let's say, 1 year ago, I feel way better speaking.
Right.
It's a matter of practicing. I remember I was good at speaking back then. when I was
Hmm.
living there. But anyhow, it's been something rewarding and cool because you know that you're practicing. But yes, as you said, it's a matter of practicing.
Yep.
Syrena, this has been a very interesting conversation. This has been a conversation about basically Spanish, English, learning a second language. I don't know if you agree to have further conversations on other subjects, on different subjects. Let's say you're into gaming,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
I'm sure there's people out there who's into gaming. You have your film company,
Yep.
Circa
Just just get
Productions, and
just getting off the
you're
ground.
starting a nice, interesting project with a short film
Uh-huh.
that hopefully we're gonna be able to enjoy pretty soon.
Pretty soon, hopefully.
With your skills with
Weather depending.
what was that?
Weather depending.
Oh yeah, yeah. But you showed me that the forecast looks pretty
Looks
cool.
good this
Well,
weekend.
yeah.
So
So so this is the first episode of the second season of the podcast for Inglés Fácil con Mike. So it would be
nice.
nice having you and discussing some other subjects in this way as a practice for people um,
I would love to.
listening comprehension skills. So I really appreciate for you being here with us today. Looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. And do you have some final words for the people out there who's watching here?
Yep. Don't be shy. Keep practicing. Try to watch TV programs. Doesn't necessarily have to be movies, but the short, 30-minute TV shows, sitcoms, stuff like that. Try to listen to radio. You know, there's a lot of.
Just a quick question before we finish.
Mhm.
Out there, there's a lot of series and movies that are not from let's say old how do you call that, non-contemporary
Like classics.
classics, which with they perhaps they use old English forms, or does that help
Um, I I don't know.
from your perspective? Do you think it helps?
It might help like with basic stuff, but we don't talk like that a lot
Yeah.
anymore. Um, the pandemic really hurt our communication skills a lot.
Yeah.
So
Syrena, thanks a lot for being here today with us, and looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.
thank you.
Take
Thank you for
care.
having me. Bye bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Muy bien, espero que les haya gustado este episodio, espero que hayan podido practicar bastante. No sé qué tanto han podido entender o no. De todas maneras, es un proceso, sin importar el nivel que tengan, es un proceso para que practiquen, para que lo repitan, para que le metan mucha energía, le dediquen tiempo, hagan el mirroring, tomen nota de vocabularios, expresiones, todas esas cosas. Les recuerdo que ella es hablante nativa norteamericana de inglés. Yo no soy hablante nativo, así que es probable que cuando yo esté hablando cometa unos errores de pronunciación, pero al principio nosotros, como lo conversamos realmente en una conversación natural, real con una persona, esos errores pasan, ¿sí? Y es decir, pasan como pasar desapercibidos, o son aceptables algunos errores, siempre y cuando el proceso de comunicación se lleve a cabo. Y recuerden, hay que empaparse y hay que meter los pies en el agua. Queremos aprender, necesitamos practicar. Es obligatorio. Entonces, una buena manera de empezar a hacer es afinando estas habilidades de listening comprehension. Así que espero que haya sido de su agrado y de su utilidad. Si les ha gustado el video, recuerden darle like, compartir con sus amigos en sus redes sociales, sus grupos, etcétera. Y si aún no lo han hecho, suscríbanse al canal. Denle clic a la campanita. Es la mejor manera de estar al día con los contenidos y de paso apoyar el crecimiento del canal. También un saludo cordial y afectuoso a las personas que están participando del programa de membresías, una manera muy interesante de mostrar apoyo para el canal. Ustedes también lo pueden hacer, ahí está. Si ustedes le dan clic a unirse, ahí va a salir un video en el que explico todo. Inmediatamente no se van a unir, salvo que ustedes pues hagan el proceso completo. Y aún así, si no lo pueden hacer, dándole like a este video, compartiéndolo y suscribiéndose y viendo los materiales que yo tengo en el canal, apoyan este trabajo. Así que Para mí es un placer, como siempre, compartir este tipo de contenidos y espero que les sirva y espero verlos en próximos episodios de Listen Up with Mike. Nos vemos. Chao.